After 8 years, some of those years in which we did not have, I think, either the resources or the strategy to get the job done, it is my intention to finish the job.
The job, in this case, is the war in Afghanistan, and President Obama has reportedly reached a decision on how he plans to finish it. The President held a final Afghanistan strategy meeting with his national security team in the Situation Room last night. And now MSNBC, or NBC News, is reporting on the details about the President's plan. It reportedly will call for an increase of 32,000 to 34,000 additional U.S. troops, and it will reportedly include benchmarks and goals for withdrawal, but not a specific timetable for pulling U.S. troops out of the country. The troop number appears to be close to the 40,000 troops requested by General Stanley McChrystal, the U.S. and NATO commander in Afghanistan. President Obama is expected to announce the new plan in an address to the nation next week.
And I feel very confident that when the American people hear a clear rationale for what we're doing there and how we intend to achieve our goals, that they will be supportive.
The decision comes after a lengthy and contentious deliberation, which included General Carl Eikenberry, the U.S. ambassador to Afghanistan, who used to be the top U.S. commander in Afghanistan, reportedly cautioning the president against sending any more troops. It appears tonight that thousands more Americans will, in fact, be headed to Afghanistan. Joining us now is MSNBC military analyst Colonel Jack Jacobs. He interviewed General David Petraeus, Chief of the United States Central Command, for next week's issue of Parade magazine. Colonel Jacobs, thanks so much for being here.
Well, thanks for having me.
Thank you. The President's plan, sending 34,000 more troops to Afghanistan, is generally seen as a middle ground decision. Is that how you'd characterize it?
Yeah, I think so. I think if General McChrystal had his way, he'd like to have lots more. I don't think any general wants fewer troops. He wants as many as he can lay his hands on. 34,000 looks like it's about 4 combat brigades, all the support that's necessary to take care of it in the region, some special forces and special operations forces, some intelligence forces. That ought to bring you up to about the number that we're talking about. And it's a middle ground, and it permits them to not overload the zone, not stretch forces. I mean, they're thinly stretched, but not stretch them too thinly, and focus his attention on the areas that need attention in Afghanistan.
The White House has indicated this strategy review isn't just about how many troops to send. It's also about how long they should stay, how we should go about getting them out. Do you think the debate over troop levels has overshadowed the debate about the strategy in Afghanistan?
Oh, I think so. Everybody's been talking about numbers from the very beginning, and I think numbers are far less important than what kinds of troops they are and what they're going to be doing. I recall back in the days when we had the surge in Iraq. Everybody was talking about the surge. We had between 100 and 200,000 troops already there. A surge of 27,000 troops was nothing. What really made a difference is the fact that we send them into areas like Fallujah, for example, and kept them there, and that's what made the difference. Here in Afghanistan, that's also what will make the difference. Not the numbers of troops, but what we're going to do with them. That's the most important thing.
How detailed do you think the President's speech is going to be next week, talking about the strategy, which is what I think Americans are really going to start to focus on now that we're sending 34,000 more troops?
I think the instructions that are inside the Defense Department and that General Petraeus has given to his subordinates and that the Secretary of Defense given to General Petraeus is going to be very, very detailed. The study that it went into this also very detailed. But I think the President is going to try to be as general as possible, and I think he's going to be trying to influence public opinion to the following extent. I've made a decision. I know the strategy I want to pursue. It's going to be this, and that is to focus on specific areas. We're going to keep troops there as long as necessary in order to be successful, but I don't think he's going to get any more detailed than that because that just leaves him open to criticism.
As you're well aware, and I think most Americans are aware, the polling that shows for the support for the war in Afghanistan is dropping below 50%. Midterm elections are coming up. The President's going to have a hard time. Was he going to have a hard time getting Congress to supply the money for this?
Well, it's a very interesting question. At the end of the day, most people don't read the Constitution, don't realize that Article 1 of the Constitution is not the President of the United States. It's all about the Congress. And the President doesn't have very many enumerated powers. The Congress has all the enumerated powers. In the end, it's up to the Congress whether or not instructions from the president actually get carried out, because they're the guys who fund it. Remember Guantanamo Bay? The president said, well, we're going to close Guantanamo. Well, the Congress said, well, we're not going to appropriate the $80 million necessary to do it, so we're not closing it. This is the same sort of thing, but remember this, the Congress is very, very reluctant to come down hard on any efforts that revolve around national security. We went through more than a decade in Vietnam, and one of the reasons we did is because the Congress just absolutely refused to shut down the pipeline of money. I think this is the same case, same situation. Congress is not really happy about doing this. The public is not really happy about having to go through this again. We've been there 8 years. We may have to go through it another decade. But in the end, the Congress does not want to be the body that says to the American public, no, we're not going to defend you because we're not allocating the money. Now, I think the Congress is going to give the president some time and is going to give him the money that he needs, that he's going to request in order to get this done.
Colonel Jack Jacobs, thanks for being with us.
Well, thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Good seeing you.